Hello everybody, this is Teva and I'm going to make an attempt to guide you through the governance workstream consortium Miro board. So let me share the screen, and here you will see different windows of a bunch of sticky notes, and these windows are frames that are titled. I have not been in all of the sessions when the Miro board used, but when I zoom closer in, it looks like the team started working towards driver mapping, where they had to come up with domains, describe the domains, and select potential people into it, and then plan how to deliver on to improve the organization. On the right side, we can see people started an 8-step driver mapping process where they went through the 1 to 5 stages and a little bit on 6. So discussing like why are we here, who will be impacted, what is needed, identifying experiences and expertise, and identifying domains and populating those domains a little bit. First asset that we can come close to is a proposal overview. This has been the source information I've been using to further develop the proposal and the budget. If we go back to the Miro board and zoom out a little, on the right side, there is you can see sticky notes of stakeholders who are what are the needs, and an attempt to create the and then like detail out all the information that are found here. So they are grouped into different like sections, and each of these are given name like community outreach, group governance, promotion, engagement, and constitutional continuity. Oh, and sustainability incentives. So these are currently that reflect our Discord channels too. At some point, I noticed that there is a need for administrator and some experience evolved on that. So, well, Swan has been running Treasury for a while now and have had experience both in contractual layer or both on using the direct bounty rewards on using Cardano. So on this waterboard, you will see a bit of like data flows, how we manage Treasury, discussions on what Intersect offers as administrators and what we have offers, where are the gaps, what are like risks, what we need to work on. Then there is this discussion of a ROM model, which is put together from like raw input management, oversight oracle, and multisig management that is working under the multisig and helping to kind of keep intact and coordinate all the work that is needed to deliver on this proposal. And in more detail, raw input measurement is a domain that is purely focused on gathering unbiased data that is generated through the entire project. Oversight Oracle, this domain is focused on minimum viable operations to ensure delivery oversight for all parties involved in the project, as well as the DREPs that sponsor the project. And multi-sig management, this domain is solely concerned with the operations and compliant payments for delivery of the project. And just recently, we had good discussions on the governance model, where right now we have this proposal that we are showing to DREPs, and eventually the goal is for them to agree to assign from Cardano Treasury some funds to proposal administrators, and they have basically direct access to either reward a budget administrator or like assign a budget administrator that manages some of these rewards, and also to allow people to get directly rewarded for participation or contribution. And budget administration is needed in the middle if there is like legal contracts required. And that can also mean like more complicated and like high roadmap or like long roadmap delivery plans, which is basically just to and coordinate with either entities or individuals to basically reward people for the work they do. And when zooming into multisig, this is a bit of unfocused, so I'm gonna jump into the Swarm Treasury Manager motherboard, which is the source information. And here you can see that multisig basically has three activities: either they appoint budget administrator, they return funds to Cardano Treasury, or sign unsigned fund transactions. Well, technically the last two are the same. However, we probably will make an automatic mechanism to move things to Cardano, back to the Cardano Treasury. And well, either way, it's like there's a lot of like questions and around multisig what we wanted to do. Well, right now we are like trying to achieve the bare minimum that is required, but we can always improve. And one big takeaway is that multisig signs if at least 50% of the participating voters vote yes. If you zoom on the right side, there are like made examples of different state scenarios where most of the like transactions that are submitted to us, they may not get signed at all because they are just fake or not meant to be signed. But as soon as somebody votes yes on that, it starts the counter to reward that payment out. However, if somebody says no, that already means that they're not getting rewarded or like that transaction is not gonna get signed. And now this interesting decision that if one says yes and one says no, then it means the transaction will still go past. So you always need overweight of no objections over the agreement. And so we have different scenarios. Currently, it's an example of 7 multisigs. Of course, we can, or multisig keys, of course, we can like increase the amount of the multisig keys themselves. And yeah, go on after you can see like on the 8th example that if there is 4 people if there are 7 max keys and 4 people say yes, then it's not gonna pass. And any state after 4 keys are passed will basically go forward. And then we iterated on 2 different like styles of contracts we want to do. Either we make like 3 smart contracts that people can sign either yes contracts or no contracts, and then we have a contract that is reading the results and doing transaction based on how these contracts end. Or we are using yes and no keys, and we have one multisig that we put into either yes or no votes and submit the unsigned fund transactions. Okay, zooming out, actually going back to the main Miro board, we have here also the roadmap, shows up to 40 months of what we are going to do, where the first phase is more like governance, like how we make all of these things happen, how we administrate the budget, and the second part is, which is still basically all happening at the same like time, are the work streams themselves. We are currently now actually discussing that we will reduce some of the like work streams, like constitutional committee, state put operators amendments. No, not amendments, but yeah, basically there are some changes in work streams. So join our weekly session to provide your insight and see if and what areas you would want to cover, so that we don't leave out anything what we actually have the capacity to do. And on the right side, there is also now this budget information is dropped into Miro board. This roadmap is adopted, and now we get like the mix of what are the activities and the roles we have here. So also notice that this, even though it's like visually almost half, however, the first part of here kind of describes the first 8 weeks, where the rest part covers like rest of the project basically. So in this middle, in the Cardano Governance Consortium bubble, you will see 3 work streams, which are oversight, the raw input measurement, and multisig management. Oversight turns into internal and external. And so if we go into one, what it basically is entailing that we have facilitation sessions where we are which also includes that there's gonna be some preparations for the meetings and and actually like facilitating it itself, and then having like people or the same people can also do the meeting notes and summaries and basically disseminating that information. And then we also have an additional multilingual managers who they'll coordinate of what informations need to be accessible for other communities and like languages. And then, of course, translators who will actually do the fine tuning of that information translation. And this itself, this kind of facilitation circle, will be 3 times per week in different time zones. So we're trying to cover the global environment we are in. All these names behind here don't right now mean that these are either appointed people or like these are somebody thought they will be great to that position or that themselves put their name up in this interest. So right now we are in this period where we want as many people to raise up and tell us or suggest somebody to be contacted who would fit under these roles. And one person can be in multiple roles, of course. After we have like better oversight of who are the people who are interested in this, we can start to do a bit more organizing. And maybe there are roles or activities that you don't see, but you think it needs to be here, always just add in here, come to the discussions, use Discord to engage, and we will make this proposal and budget planning stronger. Yeah, but still internal oversight doesn't end with just facilitation. There are also operational managers who create operation documentations, and then you also need reporting management to share like progress reports and like nicer reports to the community, and also including like creating at the final stage a new proposal or like a closing report. And then we have external oversight, and that starts on like roughly around 8 week, where there are people who are reviewing consortium weekly outputs. So every week we are expecting 2 week, and if we don't meet, there is something asynchronous that happen anyway. So the multi-sig management is planning to also create weekly unsigned transactions for the multi-sig to sign. Then they also review Workstream weekly outputs. So once the Workstream start, they also going to produce information. So if there is anything incoming, budget requests, results, then they also check if they're great. And also their job is to inform multi-sig key owners, like is it all going well? Is it worth to assign, or there are some blockers or problems that need to be that are critical and should affect their decision making, either yes or no. Then also on raw input measurement side, which starts from the second week, we have governance managers and ETA administrators. So if anybody wants to do more some documentation planning, highlighting how we govern out each other, this is the place. And then for ETA administrators, yeah, just kind of tooling, licenses, subscriptions, kind of coordinate that. Documentation managers, they help to keep the processes maintained and followed. And of course, we have also facilitation sessions where all these meeting planning, facilitating, and summaries are really needed to communicate with the rest of the work streams. We zoom out. The next step is multi-sig management, or like not next step, but next work stream that is working parallel. Is working on legal administration and contract administration. So making that rewarding people and also making it compliant with the current financial world. And we need these groups. And also then managing on documentation at the same time. So even if we create one, we also need to make sure that they're up to date and there is clarity when do we need to change something or update something. Obviously, another facilitation and documentation sessions to provide weekly insight to everybody what's going on. And administrating infrastructure coordination. So all this stuff we are explaining right now, there is also needs to be continued, like the overall understanding what products are connected in order to move this data around to make all of this happen. And the budget administrators that are the legal arm to sign contracts and reward people. And then under here is workstreams. We haven't had too much discussions into depth and into details. All workstreams have their own autonomy, but who gets accepted is basically decided by the multisig. And all this governance can do their best to align and help people to propose and work on a strategy how to then request and deliver on the constitutional debt. And the Hardowner is just an older version of the same thing. Yeah, speaking of versioning, so currently this Marvel is like the latest information and most like easily accessible, where the budget sheet itself has a lot of details and but all the naming convention should be updated. So right now we are in the stage of creating a totally new budget proposal that is now going directly to the chain, and we are also going to get a new budget sheet to take all in that informations we have been gathering and creating so far. Up here is a bit of ideation also on who could be the 7 multisigs if we go with 7. And there is that idea that there are 3 big T-reps who are able to appoint somebody who they want to be in multisig. And then we themselves, everybody who endorses the proposal or is delegate or alternate, has the voting power to decide from the people who like apply to that position. And then we have also one AI to vote, and the controller is the oversight team. And then yeah, looking also more like experts who already have experience running such large decentralized governance organizations or yeah, in doing these kinds of experiments in large scale. However, be very careful because they will have the power to move funds. So we don't just want anybody into the multisig, but really people who have the capacity to weekly check what's going on and make educated decisions. Should these people get rewarded who contribute to us or not? Yeah, I think that's enough. Everything is still in like a very early stage, so all ideas are welcome. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next meeting.